The Galactic Empire had ruled space for 3,000 years. Their huge fleets traveled between thousands of worlds, keeping order with better weapons and more ships than anyone else. The Zephyrians led with their energy weapons. The Chronari brought heavy warships. The Vextai could read minds and helped everyone work together. No alien race had ever beaten them in a fight. Admiral Kelvar flew with the Imperial Third Fleet on a normal patrol near the edge of their territory. His ship's computers found something strange. A small, simple ship had just appeared from what looked like a basic faster-than-light jump. The ship was very basic compared to what the Empire used. It was made of simple metal and used old fusion, engines that most civilizations had stopped using long ago. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship called New Frontier. This was Earth's first ship that could travel faster than light. After many years of hard work, humans had finally built a ship that could travel between stars. Jake and his crew of 200 people had one job: find alien life and try to make friends with them. The Imperial ship surrounded the human ship in just a few minutes. Admiral Kelvar opened a communication channel. He expected these new aliens to give up quickly, just like all the others before them. Unknown ship, you have entered our space without permission. Get ready to be boarded. You will become part of the Galactic Empire. Jake looked at the massive alien ships around them. His weapons officer, Lieutenant Sam Cooper, told him about energy readings they had never seen before. Chief Engineer Lisa Ward was checking their new defensive systems. This is Captain Morrison of the Earthship New Frontier. We come in peace. We want to talk with your people. Admiral Kelvar's jaw parts clicked together in a way that showed he found this funny. Earth. Just another backward planet that thought it was special. Your ship will do what we say. If you fight us, we will destroy you. Jake looked at his crew. They had trained for this moment. Earth's military leaders had studied every war humans had ever fought. They learned from wins and losses. They knew that sometimes even people who wanted peace had to fight to stay alive. I'm sorry, Admiral, but we represent our own species. We want to talk, but we won't give up our freedom. The Empire's answer came fast. Energy beams shot out from the alien ships. These beams were meant to stop the simple human ship, but something unexpected happened. The New Frontier's new magnetic shields took in the energy and turned it around. Lieutenant Cooper grinned as his computer showed the aliens were confused. Captain, their energy weapons are actually making our shield stronger. Should I shoot back? Jake said yes. Fire one warning shot. The human ship's railgun turned on. A piece of tungsten metal flew through space at almost the speed of light. It hit the alien flagship's shields and went right through them, making a perfect round hole in the ship's side. Admiral Kelvar stared at the damage reports in shock. The simple human weapon had gone right through their energy shields like they weren't even there. Emergency doors closed the hole, but this was very scary. If these humans could break through Empire shields with such basic weapons, what other tricks did they have? The human captain spoke again, still calm and professional. Admiral, that was just a warning. We want to talk, but we're ready to defend ourselves. What do you choose? For the first time in his long career, Admiral Kelvar faced something he didn't understand. The Empire's rulebook didn't say what to do when new aliens could actually fight back well. He made a choice that would change everything in the galaxy. All ships, pull back, he told his fleet. We're going back to report this to Imperial Command. As the alien ships jumped away to faster-than-light travel, Jake turned to his crew. They had lived through first contact, but he knew this was just the start. Lieutenant Cooper was already planning ways to get back to Earth. Chief Engineer Ward was studying the battle information. Sir, Cooper said quietly, I don't think they're going to leave us alone. Jake nodded as he looked at the stars outside his window. Humanity had just told a galactic empire that had never lost a fight that they existed. He had a feeling their peaceful exploration trip was about to become something much more dangerous. Back on the Imperial flagship, Admiral Kelvar was writing his report. He had to tell his leaders about a new species that could fight in ways they had never seen before. The humans used weapons that went through their shields. They had ships that could turn energy attacks into power for their own defenses. Most importantly, they had refused to surrender. The Admiral's report would travel through the Empire's communication network. It would reach the capital world where the Emperor lived. Soon, every important person in the Empire would know about the humans. Some would want to destroy Earth immediately. Others would want to study these new aliens first. But Admiral Kelvar had a bad feeling about all of this. In his long career, he had seen many alien species join the Empire. Some fought, at first, but they all gave up eventually. The humans were different. They had looked at the Empire's massive fleet and said no. They had weapons that worked in ways the Empire had never seen. They had fought back and won. The Admiral finished his report and sent it through the network. Soon, the Empire would decide what to do about the humans. But deep down, he knew that this first meeting had changed everything. The Empire had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years because no one could fight them and win. Now there was a species that could. Jake Morrison stood on his bridge and watched the stars. He knew the aliens would come back with more ships. He knew Earth would have to prepare for war. But he also knew something else. Humans had surprised the Empire today. They had shown that the Empire could be beaten. That was important information, and it would spread. The human ship New Frontier began its journey back to Earth. They had a lot to report, and not much time. The Empire would return, and when they did, humanity would be ready. 3 months passed after the first meeting with humans. Imperial Command was very angry. They had never been challenged before, and they would not accept it now. High Admiral Zirak was the Empire's best military leader. He had won every battle he had ever fought. The Emperor gave him 500 warships and one simple order: destroy the humans completely. On Earth, people were working day and night. Colonel Dan Blake led Earth's new defense command. He knew the aliens would come back with more ships and bigger guns. The information from Captain Morrison's fight had taught them a lot about alien technology and how they liked to fight. Dr. Amy Foster was Earth's smartest scientist. She had been working without sleep for weeks with her team. They were building new weapons and defense systems. The railgun that had worked so well against alien shields was now being built all over the solar system. Every planet and moon got new weapons platforms. We can win this, she told the military leaders in a meeting. Their shields only work against energy weapons. They have never fought against the kind of weapons we use. General Rick Watson was in charge of Earth's military. He looked at the computer predictions of the coming battle. But they have 500 ships coming. We only have 50 ships that can fight. That's okay, said Colonel Blake. We don't need to fight fair. We're humans. We're good at finding new ways to win. The Imperial fleet came out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. High Admiral Zirak expected to find a weak planet with just a few defenses. What he found instead shocked him completely. In just 3 months, humans had turned their entire solar system into a giant fortress. Every planet had weapons platforms around it. Old mining stations had been turned into gun platforms. Clouds of metal projectiles floated in space, waiting for enemy ships. High Admiral Zirak looked at the sensor readings with growing worry. No alien species in the galaxy's history had ever prepared for war this fast or this well. Start the attack, he ordered his fleet. All ships move forward in attack formation. These simple aliens cannot fight against the Imperial Navy. The first group of Imperial ships moved toward Earth. Their energy weapons were charging up and ready to fire, but they met something unexpected at Neptune's orbit. Thousands of metal projectiles shot through space from hidden positions all over the outer solar system. The Imperial shields were useless against tungsten rods flying at almost the speed of light. Commander Julie Banks watched from Defense Platform Omega as Imperial ships started exploding in bright flashes. Each platform had computer brains that could aim and fire faster than any living creature could think. First attack wave stopped, she reported to Earth Command. Enemy losses: 47 ships destroyed, 18 badly damaged. High Admiral Zirak stared at his battle display in complete shock. In just a few minutes, the humans had destroyed almost a quarter of his fleet. These were not the actions of simple aliens. This was smart military planning done perfectly. The second wave of Imperial ships moved forward more carefully. But humans had planned for that too. Captain Morrison now commanded a new frontier. He led a small group of human ships in quick attacks throughout the asteroid belt. The human ships hid behind space rocks, came out to fire powerful shots, then disappeared again. Their fighting style is completely unknown to us, Admiral Zarak's weapons officer reported. They don't fight like any species in our records. They're using the whole solar system as one big weapon. As the Imperial fleet got closer to Earth, they faced stronger and stronger resistance. Humans had turned every piece of space junk into a weapon. Asteroid bases shot out swarms of missiles. Ice comets had been hollowed out and filled with bombs. Even Saturn's rings had been filled with explosive mines. But the biggest shock came when the Imperial fleet finally reached Earth's space. The planet was defended by something that should not have been possible. Humans were fighting together, as perfectly as the mind-reading Vextai. But humans could not read minds at all. Dr. Foster had solved this problem with quantum communication networks. Every human defender was connected through instant communication. This let them work together like one giant organism. The Imperial forces found themselves fighting not individual ships or platforms, but an entire species acting as one mind. The battle lasted for 8 hours. Imperial ships kept getting destroyed by weapons they could not defend against. Their energy shields were useless. Their tactics did not work. Humans fought in ways they had never seen before. High Admiral Zarak watched his fleet getting destroyed, piece by piece. He had started with 500 ships. Now he had less than 200 left, and many of those were badly damaged. For the first time in his long career, he had to make a choice he had never made before. All ships, retreat immediately, he ordered. Jump to hyperspace now. The remaining Imperial ships ran away as fast as they could. They left behind the wreckage of over 300 warships. The humans had won the biggest space battle in their history. Colonel Blake watched the alien ships disappear on his command screen. Earth had won, but he knew this was not the end. The Empire would not give up. They would come back with even more ships and new weapons. Get Captain Morrison on the communication system, he ordered his staff. It's time we stopped just defending. It's time to attack them. The first battle of Earth was over. Humanity had proved they could fight and win against the Galactic Empire. But now they had to decide what to do next. Wait for the Empire to return, or take the fight to the enemy. First, the Imperial defeat at Earth sent shockwaves through the entire galaxy. Species that had served the Empire for thousands of years began to talk quietly among themselves. If humans could beat an Imperial fleet, maybe the Empire was not as strong. As everyone thought, Emperor Vexthul was the ancient mind-reading ruler of the Galactic Empire. He called an emergency meeting of the Imperial War Council. The huge meeting room on the capital world of Zentara Prime, filled with leaders from dozens of alien species. All of them had been under Imperial rule for countless generations. The human threat must be destroyed. The Emperor's psychic voice spoke in every mind present. They have brought chaos into our ordered galaxy. High Admiral Zarak stood before the council. His military career was almost ruined after the Earth defeat. He gave his report about the humans. Your Imperial Majesty, the humans fight unlike any species we have ever seen. They treat war like a science. They keep learning and getting better at fighting. Meanwhile, in Earth's rebuilt space shipyards, humanity was doing exactly what the Admiral said. Captain Morrison worked with Dr. Foster and her bigger research team. They were building new technologies using captured Imperial equipment. We have figured out how their faster-than-light engines work, Dr. Foster told Earth's leaders in a meeting. But we made them better. Our version is faster and uses less power. Colonel Blake looked at the technical information. How much faster? About 30% faster. We can outrun anything in their fleet. General Watson leaned forward with interest. What about our new ship designs? Captain Morrison turned on a holographic display showing humanity's newest ships. We're calling them hunter-killers. Small, fast ships designed to find and destroy Imperial weaknesses. Each one carries enough firepower to badly damage a heavy cruiser. The human plan was becoming clear. Instead of building huge fleets to match Imperial numbers, They were making precision weapons and hit-and-run tactics. Every human ship was designed to attack hard and disappear before the enemy could fight back. 6 months after the Battle of Earth, human ships began appearing all over Imperial space. They attacked military supply convoys. They destroyed isolated outposts. They vanished before Imperial forces could respond. Captain Morrison led many of these attacks personally. His ship New Frontier now had advanced hiding technology and devastating weapons. But humans were not just fighting. They were also talking to other aliens. Commander Julie Banks now served aboard the diplomatic ship Messenger. She made contact with enslaved species throughout Imperial space. The message was simple: the Empire could be defeated. On the mining world of Kepler 442b, the enslaved Dreknari heard human broadcasts promising freedom. On the farming planet of Ross 128b, the oppressed Zelthan began organizing resistance groups. Across dozens of worlds, species that had forgotten what independence meant began to remember. Dr. Foster made her greatest discovery when she successfully broke the Imperial telepathic communication codes. Their entire command structure depends on psychic links, she explained to Earth's military leaders. If we can disrupt those links, their coordination falls apart. The solution was beautifully simple. Human ships began carrying quantum interference generators. These devices created psychic static across entire star systems. When Imperial fleets encountered this interference, their perfect coordination dissolved into chaos. The first major test came at the Battle of Vega Station. This was an important Imperial supply depot. Captain Morrison led a small fleet of 12 human ships against a defensive force of over 100 Imperial vessels. The humans turned on their interference generators as they arrived. This immediately disrupted Imperial communications. What happened next was a complete massacre. The Imperial ships could not coordinate their actions. They were picked off one by precise kinetic strikes. The humans lost 2 ships while completely destroying the Imperial force and capturing Vega Station intact. Emperor Vexthul watched reports of the battle with growing fear. The humans were not just winning individual fights, they were breaking apart the fundamental advantages that had kept the Empire dominant for thousands of years. Call up the entire Imperial Navy, he commanded. Every ship, every weapon, the humans must be crushed before their rebellion spreads further. But it was already too late. On worlds throughout the galaxy, enslaved species were rising in rebellion. The Draknari mining colonies declared independence. The Zelthan farming worlds stopped sending food to Imperial worlds. Even some Zephyrian colonies began questioning Imperial authority. Colonel Blake, now promoted to general and commanding Earth's growing military forces, received reports from human intelligence agents throughout the galaxy. Sir, it's not just individual species rebelling. They're starting to work together. The humans have started something that's spreading faster than we can track. The rebellion was spreading like wildfire. Human agents were teaching other species how to build railgun weapons. They shared communication encryption codes. They provided tactical training in guerrilla warfare. Most importantly, they showed enslaved aliens that the Empire could be beaten. On the industrial world of Proxima Centauri, Kranari workers sabotaged Imperial weapon factories. On the trade hub of Wolf 359C, Vextai telepaths began blocking Imperial psychic communications. The galaxy was waking up from 3,000 years of sleep. Captain Morrison's raids became more daring. His hunter-killer fleet now included ships crewed by freed aliens. Draknari engineers improved human weapons. Zelthan biologists created new types of ammunition. Former Imperial slaves became humanity's strongest allies. The Empire tried to fight back. They sent massive fleets to crush rebellions on key worlds. But every time they concentrated their forces in one place, human raiders would strike somewhere else. The Empire's resources were being stretched thin across hundreds of rebellions. Dr. Foster's research teams were now working with alien scientists. The combination of human innovation with alien knowledge created technologies that surpassed anything the Empire had ever built. New shield systems that could stop both energy and kinetic weapons. Faster engines that could jump between stars in minutes instead of hours. Weapons that could adapt to any defense. General Blake stood in Earth's Strategic Command Center, watching real-time displays of battles across the galaxy. What had started as humanity's fight for survival had become a galactic revolution. Status report, Blake asked his staff. 17 more worlds declared independence today, reported his intelligence officer. Imperial supply lines are breaking down. Their outer territories are joining the rebellion faster than they can stop them. The galaxy was changing, and at the center of it all was a species that had been unknown just 2 years before. Humans were not just fighting the Empire, they were showing the galaxy that the Empire could be fought and beaten. The final phase of the war was about to begin. 2 years after first contact, the Galactic Empire was falling apart. What had started as a simple mission to conquer a primitive species had become a galaxy-wide revolution. Emperor Vexthul's 1,000-year reign was crumbling as world after world declared independence. General Blake stood in Earth's new Strategic Command Center. He watched real-time displays of battles happening across dozens of star systems. Human forces were now a small part of a much larger coalition. The Free Worlds Alliance, as it was now called, included over 300 liberated species. Status report, Blake requested from his staff. Colonel Sam Cooper had been promoted after his service aboard the New Frontier. He provided the tactical summary. The Imperial core worlds are under siege. Their supply lines have been completely cut off. Most of their outer territories have joined the Alliance. Dr. Foster now served as the Alliance's chief technology officer. She had been working with scientists from dozens of species to develop new weapons and defensive systems. The combination of human innovation with alien knowledge had produced technologies that were better than anything the Empire had. "We've finished combining Zelthon biotechnology with our kinetic weapons," she reported. "The new ammunition can adapt to any shield type in real time." But the real architect of the Empire's downfall was Captain Morrison. Now Admiral Morrison, he commanded the Alliance's primary strike force. This was a fleet of fast attack ships crewed by humans and aliens, working together. His tactical innovations had been copied and improved by military leaders throughout the galaxy. The final battle began at Zentara Prime, the Imperial capital world. Emperor Vexthul had gathered what was left of his fleet for a desperate last stand. Over 2,000 Imperial ships surrounded the heavily defended world. They faced an Alliance fleet nearly twice that size. Admiral Morrison studied the tactical display aboard his flagship, the newly built Freedom's Dawn. The ship represented everything humanity had learned about space warfare. It was fast, heavily armed, and crewed by the best officers from multiple species. All Alliance forces, this is Admiral Morrison. Today we end 3,000 years of tyranny. All ships, begin the final assault. The battle for Zentara Prime lasted 18 hours. Imperial forces fought with desperate courage, but they were overwhelmed by superior numbers, better tactics, and most importantly, by an enemy that fought for freedom rather than conquest. The turning point came when Commander Julie Banks led a squadron of Draknari heavy cruisers through the Imperial defensive line. She began attacking the planet's orbital fortresses. One by one, the massive weapons platforms that had protected the Imperial capital for thousands of years were reduced to space debris. Emperor Vexthul watched his empire die from his palace on Zentara Prime. His psychic powers were weakened by quantum interference generators. The telepathic network that had controlled the galaxy under his will was silent. It was replaced by the chaotic but vibrant communications of free species, working together. As Alliance forces landed on the capital world, the Emperor made his final broadcast to the galaxy. "The Age of Order is ending. Chaos will consume you all." But he was wrong. What replaced the Empire was not chaos. It was something the galaxy had never seen before. The Free Worlds Alliance established a new form of government based on cooperation rather than domination. Each species kept its independence while contributing to collective defense and prosperity. The final assault on the Imperial Palace was led by a mixed force of humans and aliens. Admiral Morrison personally accepted the surrender of the last Imperial guards. The Emperor was found in his throne room, his ancient mind finally broken by the collapse of everything he had built. General Blake received the surrender of all remaining Imperial forces. The ceremony took place on Earth, showing how far humanity had come from that first contact 2 years earlier. "General," asked one of the alien reporters covering the event, "what advice would you give to other species facing oppression?" Blake thought for a moment. He remembered the desperate early days when Earth faced the might of the Imperial fleet alone. Sometimes you have to fight for freedom, but more importantly, you have to believe that freedom is possible. Once you believe that, you'll find allies in the most unexpected places. The victory celebrations lasted for weeks across Alliance worlds, but the real work was just beginning. Dr. Foster was already working on new projects. She was developing terraforming technologies to heal worlds damaged by Imperial exploitation. She was working on medical advances that combined knowledge from hundreds of species. She was planning exploration missions to map regions of the galaxy that had been forbidden under Imperial rule. Admiral Morrison took command of the Alliance's exploration fleet. He would lead mixed crews of humans and aliens to discover new worlds and make contact with species beyond the former Imperial borders. The galaxy was vast and there was still much to explore. Captain Jake Morrison, the man who had started it all with first contact, was given a new mission. He would command the Alliance Academy, training the next generation of leaders from all species. His first class included young humans, Draknari, Zelthan, and even some former Imperial species who had joined the rebellion. The former Imperial worlds faced a difficult transition. Some had been under Empire rule for so long they had forgotten how to govern themselves. Human advisors worked alongside local leaders to establish new democratic governments. The process was not always smooth, but it was peaceful. On worlds throughout the galaxy, children of dozens of species were growing up free for the first time in millennia. They learned about the war that had freed them. They studied human tactics and innovations. Most importantly, they learned that freedom was worth fighting for. The Galactic Empire was officially dissolved in a ceremony attended by representatives from over 500 worlds. The Imperial crown was broken apart, and pieces were given to museums on liberated worlds as a reminder of what they had overcome. As the years passed, the galaxy began to heal. Trade routes reopened under Alliance protection. Scientific cooperation led to discoveries that benefited all species. Former enemies became allies, working together to build a better future. General Blake, now an old man, stood on Earth looking up at the stars. His grandson sat beside him asking about the war against the Empire. "Grandpa, how did we beat them when they were so much bigger than us?" Blake smiled and put his arm around the boy. "We didn't beat them alone, son. We showed other people that they could be beaten. Once everyone started working together, the Empire didn't stand a chance." The boy looked up at the stars with wonder. "Will there be more wars?" "Maybe," Blake said honestly. "But now the galaxy knows something it had forgotten. When free people work together, nothing can stop them." The age of empire was over. The age of freedom had begun.